Hello, welcome to Espresso. I'm Doug.
I'm Barb.
And this video, I'd like to cover some tips and techniques for using the Lido OG manual coffee grinder. These things are kind of obvious to me because we developed the product over months, and I used it for months. It might be a little trial and error on your part, so to cut the process a little short, I'd like to give you some tips here on usage of the grinder. Since a manual coffee grinder inherently is a single dosing grinder, so whether it's espresso or filter coffee or whatever, you're grinding a single dose. So you generally use a scale and with a bowl or some kind of vessel to measure your coffee beans. In this case, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a portafilter for espresso. I'll show you how I do that. Okay, got my scale, my beans. I'm going to go 16 grams. 16.3, that means I had one bean too many. These are really handy for a lot of people. This is a little silicone pinch bowl. They're called pinch bowls, salad bowls, herb bowls, whatever they sell them as.
Mini bowls.
Mini bowls, okay? I hold it in my hand, I take the bowl, and just pour in the beans. Now, I'm set up, I'm currently grinding at 420 microns of vertical burr movement. That's 400 on the big dial, and I have moved it 20 microns in the C direction to get my setting. That's where I'm grinding here. Make sure that my plug is nicely placed, okay? Whenever I manipulate the grinder, I hold it here. Hold it by the ring. Not tighten this down like this, just like you're holding a jar. That's kind of critical because this is a reverse threaded. The burr module threads onto the hopper tube in reverse direction. So if you're not a little bit cautious about this, you can unscrew it and change everything. So
you can screw it back in if you.
Oh yeah, you can screw it back in. Everything is reversible. But now, as far as the grinding technique goes, many times a person with a hand grinder, they will hold it out like this. Okay? You can do this with no problem with the Lido, but you need to kind of hold it low if you're going to do it. Free. See how I'm turning both of them at the same time against each other? Okay? Generally, a more casual way to do it is you hold the jar end against your hip with this type of rotation. Okay? So I'm moving my holding hand a lot more than I'm moving my cranking hand. That's against the hip. You can also do this sitting down in a comfortable chair, having a conversation with your friend. The fastest way to grind is to grind on the counter, where you can really increase your speed a lot. Now, on the video, this is going to sound really loud because it's the nature of grinders. The phone video, it really picks up the sound.
But especially with a good mic.
Yeah, a good mic is totally pleasant. So I'm grinding like this. Once again, two-hand motion. And this is absolutely the fastest way. You want to keep a consistent speed, but don't get too worried about it. You need a side view, Barb. Okay, now, what I want to do, just to be fancy, when I'm finished, I usually spin it. And this makes sure that any little shards, any pieces of beans are going to go down. Or you take it, knock it down like this. Try to use a pad so you don't dent the bottom. That's a tip. I learned that. Okay, my beans are all through. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use our dosing funnel that fits on the jar. I take this part, right? When I unscrewed it, I had my fingers down here. Okay, I want to make sure I've got that. All right. This 0.05 grams of coffee, it clings to the burr. If you want to collect this, you certainly can. I generally don't bother. I take the grinder and I lay it down on its side. Okay. This is our dosing funnel. Screws on. Portofilter goes on. Turn it upside down. Now I'm getting really fussy about my basket preparation. So what I try to do is, at first I was doing a lot of fancy stuff like this, back and forth, thinking I was mixing. But basically all I was doing was creating kind of compressed clumps of coffee. I hit it once. Basically get all my coffee, stainless steel jar. Now, you see where we are here, Barb?
Mm-hmm.
See how the coffee has not gone in evenly? It's piled over to one side. This is when you use whatever grooming tool that you have. Now, if you are an advocate of WDT, stirring the coffee, this is where you do it, and you do it right here in the thing. Did I mention how I took this off?
Yes, you did.
Did I mention that I held on to I hold on to this,
Onto the ring.
onto the funnel, and I screw this off. From experience, because of the way that it's not right in the center, if you just pull it off, you're going to make a mess. Most of the things that if you do kind of wrong or you do it's awkward, you just make a little bit of mess or you lose some coffee. So I'm just trying to help you out here. So now I've got this, okay? So sitting down here, I take the funnel and I kind of jiggle it and lift it straight up. Okay? That's what I've got. I have some other things that I do before I make the shot. I've got a leveling tool, distribution, etc. But that's the gist of how you do it. You just remember to hold on to the funnel, unscrew this here at this point, put my jar back on, and I'm ready to proceed making my espresso. Now, one more tip that, let's say I'm going to, my next use of the grinder, I'm going to make a filter coffee. So I'm going to go, I'm at 400. I just click this up to 14, I think is what I did last time, was it, Laura?
Yes.
14. So since I was at 420, I'm now at 1420. But statistically, I'm at 14 once we get up to filter coffee. Now, the tip that I'd like to give is that your espresso setting will be the same because it's largely controlled by this micro disc. That's how I get my 20 microns. My 400 comes off the big disc. So when I go back to espresso, I pass 400 and I go back down to 0 and then back to 400. And this, what did you explain it to me, Barb?
It's lash in the gears.
Yeah,
it's lash in the thread.
Lash in the threads. So this compensates for lash. It takes the lash out of the threads.
Yes.
So that's one tip, is that when you go back to espresso, go down to 0 and then back up to 4, and you're there. And really, as far as usage, I think that's about it. It's very simple. I just want to emphasize that when you're manipulating the jar, hold it here.
Hold it by the
Don't
ring.
hold it here.
Hold it by here.
Hold it by the
This ring.
ring. If you hold it here,
You may unscrew it.
You can unscrew it. You just screw it back on. But this makes life a lot simpler. Another tip I would like to emphasize, that make sure you really tighten this down. You might think it's tight, but no, really tighten it down so it doesn't slip. I really think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and make this espresso. And so I hope this helps, and hope you have a nice day. Thank you.